There are veteran sports areas, the single stop shop opportunity for veterans, the public service delivery center, and many other interesting things like veteran space called Veteran Pro, which is a real model, by the way, of a veteran space. And there you will be able to have a clearer understanding of what it is all about. This is a virtual representation of a real center that we already opened in Mykolaiv Oblast. There is also a veteran fair to attend, representing veteran businesses. Feel free to buy the produce. Each of the brands has a label from the ministry to confirm the produce has been made by our defenders. There are several businesses presented there, each with a unique history. I myself was very much impressed with what I heard, so please welcome. Find time to go there. And there's also a photo gallery, which is called Life. It comprises two sections to tell more about women's experience on the front line, the experience of female servicemen, rather servicewomen, volunteers with their own stories of why did they go to serve in the army. You will be able to see and hear about the experience of partners and spouses of the fallen servicemen, their experiences, their feelings, and their farthest more location on the third floor is about National Memorial Cemetery. It will tell you more about the census around the idea of this memorial. It's highly conceptual with nice video and audio follow-up. We have Anton Drabovich from the Ukrainian National Memory Institute to tell you more there about what's behind the National Memorial. And by the way, we are going to see a short video exactly on that. Hello, Dad. I'm going good at school. I almost learned how to write. Maybe I'll write you a letter soon. See what I've got, and nice. We're missing you terribly. We do. The feeling of loss, the pain, those are words that kill like bullets. Those who were examples in their life remain exemplar after their death. They fought for us, they defended us, and this place of pain will turn into a place of memory, a national memory, the place for special meetings, harboring memory of the fallen heroes. Hello, my boy. Okay, and we can start our part two. We'll hear from our international partners implementing veteran reintegration related projects. I'd like to repeat here two important aspects. Speaking to veteran community representatives, I kindly ask you to be more proactive. Please talk to representatives of international organizations, network with them, learn more about what they can do to make your lives better. And secondly, I would invite the speakers, the panelists, to respect the timing and be sincere This is an important discussion we are going to have because I think everyone understands that by joint efforts we will be able to gain better results. And we are good to go to the presentation on international support as an opportunity to broaden veteran potential. It will be actually a TED format, 10, 15 minutes for each presenter to deliver on the topic. And there will be a Q&A aisles during the discussion afterwards. So please welcome our first speaker, a veteran, an advisor to the IREX Organization for Veteran, Konstantin Tatarkin. Dear Konstantin, please.
Микрофон. Один, два, один, два, три. Ага, супер.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, we seem to be live. Okay, good. Sorry. I hope you can hear me.
Колеги, всім привіт. Ні-ні-ні. Єсть. Супер. Окей. Не рухаюсь, стою на місці, все. Колеги, доброго дня.
I'm trying to still say good afternoon. I try not to move a lot. I do hear myself going away.
Отже,
Actually, I thought of 7 minutes initially. Well, if I have 15, double the pleasure. But I prepared a couple of slides to tell more about activities implemented by IREX in relation to the support of veterans in Ukraine. First and foremost, IREX has been active in Ukraine since 1996. Well, it had been 1993, actually, but given the official registration, it stands at 1996. And we have a couple of programs on veterans, the one on reintegration of veterans and the one of Ukrainian Fast Response Foundation, partly as a reaction, a response to the full-scale invasion. So some core activities of ours, quite a wide range, starting with support of the Ukrainian government, saying the establishment of the registry of veterans, war veterans, all the way to the support in seeking for jobs and related researches. We started with a comprehensive survey that laid the foundation of many more international projects implemented until this day. One of the components is about improving access to healthcare and psychological rehabilitation services. We've been supporting about 14 international projects for veterans, for the family members, also to foster their social support. We have lots of partners working with us. Some of them are mentioned here. Actually, on our stand, you can have many more information about our partners and cooperation. Please go grab the materials to learn. Now, concerning employment opportunities, we supported 16 projects, primarily to support the training of veterans. We worked in a variety of directions, from IT to cybersecurity to governance, private enterprise, and so on. I myself, at some point, implemented a project years ago as a veteran reintegration project partner from IREX. So I can confirm this is a real thing. It does work. On employment, we have one of our important core programs. We do work with civic society organizations, but we also have a very direct program with some grants for veterans.
і англійської мови.
around $500 US dollars for one's training.
І якщо навіть ці курси
It's a real opportunity, say, to pay for some training courses, and even if some training courses cost more, there was an opportunity for veterans to co-finance it. In terms of private enterprise among veterans,
власна справа,
I would like to remember this own business program, grant program from the Ministry of Economy, Yerabota facility, but these are just tools. And you will have to go a long way before you're able to get it. So together with the Ministry for Economy, we created a manual, a nice handbook for veterans, for the family members, to better understand how to get those grants, how to correctly fill out grant applications. There are, by the way, QR codes like the one here, which you can use to follow this updated handbook. We updated it jointly with the KSE. You also can find it on the DIA website. It has been officially placed there. And from there, our veterans will be able to apply for a grant. Another big program is the Fast Response Foundation, which harbors lots of very important components, like the hotline operating 24/7. They've delivered more than 30,000 online consultations since June 2022, and something we really take pride in. The support of veterans has been also among our other core activities, like the Unbroken Charity Fund. I think all of you know about it.
реабілітації ветеранів.
There's a special dedicated room to rehabilitate veterans, and we are currently working on setting up a special open space with rehabilitation equipment there.
В Україні
Our veterans is an important target audience, and we also are mindful that civilians will have to become beneficiaries of it, so then Broken Foundation will work with the civilians as well.
бачите, надали психологічні.
We also have a Prostir Hub, Veteran Prostir Hub, which is providing counseling and advice to veterans. We work with the Ukrainian Veteran Fund, with the Princip CSO,
Соціальної підтримки ветеранів.
working on researches in matters of improving support of veterans.
Ми будемо на них спиратись подальше.
And these researches will result in some strategic data that we will use to further improve our activities.
Важливіша частина, яка сьогодні починається для ветеранської спільноти, для
Our continued activities in this year
ми будемо запускати
will include the following. We are going to launch a stipend program for veterans in October, November this year. There will be links to the information about such stipends at my last slide. We are going also to launch an employment grant. It will also
грантова програма для українського.
include some psychosocial support.
Ми вчора стартанули
Yesterday, we kick-started call for proposals for
надають
projects from local veteran organizations offering services to the members, veterans. Again, using the QR code, you will be able to find detailed information about who will support, how, and so on. The deadline for applications is 9th of September. The maximum grant amount stands at $85,000, and again, the projects will be implemented by CSOs operating at the level of community or oblast, and beneficiaries are veterans. And probably one more very important slide, probably it's more important just for us.
нам треба.
We are actively searching for talented people. We are eager to employ bright-minded veterans. We are going to work for many more years to come, I'm sure of that, to support our defenders, those who are still fighting, those who are going to be decommissioned quite soon. We need program officers, communication professionals, procurement professionals, and so on. So lots of openings. Please spread the word. Recommend our employment opportunities among those who might be needing it. So you see, I did my best to fit into the timing. Please find us on the internet, in social media, everything we've been doing in IRIS with our two core programs. You will be able to find everything there. Our internet presence makes for a strong and direct communication line with you. Thank you for your attention. Glory to Ukraine.
Yes, thank you. As a representative of a veteran hub, I would like to express my gratitude because we use their funds to conduct a very important survey. So I encourage you to go to their website and read more about them. Let's continue. The next speech will be by Anastasia Mariak, manager of DEAM platform of civil society. Please, the floor is yours. Take the mic. Let's give her a round of applause. Hello, everyone. My name is Anastasia. I am program manager of the Jednania and manager of the Civil Society House platform. I will briefly tell you about our organizations, about the grant programs, and the platform itself. A bit about us. We are Ukrainian civil society organizations operating for 25 years, and we've been there as an initiative for 32 years. We support approximately 400 organizations operating in different oblasts of Ukraine, in different areas, in particular veterans organizations. And for the last years, our budget was $22.3 million, and we supported over 15,000 projects worth $28 million. And we are very proud of our marketplace. Probably you already heard about it. Last year, it underwent rebranding, and I will briefly tell you more about it later. Every year, we organize a forum for the development of the civil society, and I would like to use this opportunity to invite you to the next forum on the 5th of December. The registration will open a bit later, but you can remember this day. You know that you can also indicate what kind of activities you'd like to organize. We have a fair of businesses, etc. So you're all invited. What we actually do in the veterans area, I will briefly tell you about the survey we conducted last year about the organizations operating in this area. You can scan the QR code to find the survey, and you can also find the information on the website of the Civil Society House. You will find there all the surveys we conduct, and we invite all the organizations and the researchers to upload their own researchers so that we improve our activities. We also conducted trainings on veteran management for our different organizations, and we actually cooperate with the Ministry for Veterans Affairs. We conduct one of such trainings. And we actually plan other events as to how the local authorities and central authorities need to cooperate with the veterans community. You can follow our pages on social media to follow the news and apply. Another event we organized last year is about the future of veterans. It gathered over 90 representatives of different stakeholders. We tried to involve not only organizations but also representatives of donors, the government. We had a great synergy. We were working for 3 days. You can again scan the QR code and find the outcomes and the recommendations as to the development of the veteran movement in Ukraine. About the next step, the competition Варто єднання. This competition is aimed at reintegration and support of veterans and their family members, in particular through different unions. The Єднання ensures the funding. The Ukrainian Veterans Foundation and the Ministry for Veterans Affairs were selecting their projects, and we ensure funding for administrative activities. We supported 16 organizations, and on this slide you can see one of the examples of information materials developed by the organization Wives of the Veterans from the ATO. Some details about our platform, Civil Society House. You can scan the QR code to go to the website. It actually looks like that right now. You might probably remember the previous version of this marketplace, and you can see that we did this rebranding. It is now updated. It is a platform where you can find grants for the development of your organizations. You can download different materials, analytical reports and surveys. You can exchange your own content, create video materials and articles. We also recently launched a page with openings, with vacancies, so you can also look for personnel there. Different organizations can add their events in the joint calendar. You can add links to online events. So it is a platform where we managed to gather everything for your development. Here on this page, you can register as an organization of the civil society, as a state institution, as an expert of institutional development, etc. And the marketplace itself looks like that. It's actually the page where you can look for organizational development experts that will reinforce your organizations. And later I will tell you about our grants program. You can use it to find funding for different trainings. You can also find experts that provide these services. You can look at different experts' profiles. Here is an example of one of them. You can also find the mention verified. It means that we have 2 stages of verification. First of all, the experts need to provide their diplomas, certificates, and on the second stage, they need to confirm that they attended one of obligatory events, either online or offline. And every year, we require confirmation of attendance of such an event. So that's how we make sure they're verified. And actually, you can go to our YouTube channel, and in the section of webinars, you might find different webinars. And actually, it's a source of great information if you're looking for experts, or you will look for experts while applying for grant competitions. You can go on this page and look how these experts present information, whether you like their presentations and whether it will be comfortable to work with them. You can also scan the QR code to find this specific section of analytical library. There are a lot of analytical materials uploaded there already. There is also a separate section with courses. I would like to recommend you this particular course, how to create an efficient civil society organization. You can also find it on the Dia Osvita portal. You will learn how to register an organization, how to work with donors, to arrange all the operational activities, and many more. So please get familiarized with this course. Another thing about content, we add the content we ourselves deem the best, but you can also add your own materials, articles, and be in the loop what's going on in this sector. As to the opportunities, we have the grant, the competition to get a grant. You might apply for such grants on a monthly basis, and we actually advise you to participate in it if you haven't already. It is a great opportunity to reinforce your organization. There are great cases when veteran organizations applied and got grants for studies and for implementation of their strategies. You might get different kinds of services like consultations, coaching, mentoring, audit, anything. The deadline is the 18th of September, but in October and November there will be following deadlines. So please make use of them. All the non-profitable organizations might apply. Or any other groups that apply together with an officially registered organization. How you can understand what you need, you can use our tool of self-evaluation. You can register at the website Jednania UA. You will find a separate section here to conduct a self-evaluation of your organization. You will be able to assess yourself according to different areas of organizational development. We recommend to conduct this self-assessment together with your team members so that the answers are as honest as possible. You will get your average assessment, and you will be able to understand what are the advantages and maybe things you need to improve. You will be able to get the full assessment of your organization. So you will later find a short plan for the organizational improvement, and you will be able to understand what should be your next steps. Either you need a training, a series of trainings on project management, or you need to undergo some courses to get some certificates. You will be able to understand whether you need to develop an organizational plan for a year. And on the basis of this information, you will be able to submit an application. What are the grants you might get? Here you can see the table of different kinds of grants, an ordinary grant, a complex grant, for study visits. For example, study visits is a great opportunity. You might go to a different civil society organization to look how they work, to get some advice. So you might use this grant. Other grants are for the participation in educational events and for service providers, which means that your organization provides services or wants to provide services, and you might get funding to work with experts to provide these services. What else do we offer? Last year, we expanded the opportunities and not only we provide organizational development services, but other opportunities that improve your organizations. We facilitate participation in the conferences, forums, and other events of international format. We support many initiatives who already participated in international events. There are already great cases, so we are ready to support this kind of participation, and we cover all the costs. Annual membership fee for networks and associations, subscriptions for different web services such as Zoom, Grammarly, ChatGPT. We support development of logos or rebranding of organizations, but we don't support websites just for the sake of their existence. You should do something new. You should introduce the coordination system for volunteers or something else. So you should have a completely new idea. Different courses to get new certificates, audits, safety and security events like trainings, and anything else you might imagine, which is not mentioned here, but which is part of organizational development. Unfortunately, we cannot cover salaries for team members, so you cannot mention salaries for your employees. We can only cover the services of external experts. You cannot mention purchase of different products or English language courses. So unfortunately, we do not cover that. As always, we also would like to draw your attention to the logic to the format of your applications. You should understand how this application will facilitate implementation of your mission. You should also mention the plan you have, and you will also find the phone number of our hotline. You will be able to call the managers and to get more information you need. We usually have a lot of grant competitions. Please follow our pages on social media, and you will find all the necessary information. You need to register at our website, Jednania.ua. You will create your own profile, and you will see all the open competitions you can apply for. If you apply for the organizational development grants, you should also undergo this self-assessment mechanism, and you will be able to understand what you need, what you should focus on. You will have to wait for the decision of the committee. It will take approximately 1 month. So please be patient until we inform you of the decision. And actually, the fifth step is when you're asked to organize a tender to select experts on organizational development, you should publish this information on all possible resources, and the experts need to be able to provide these verified services. If an expert is not present on the platform, but you know that it's a great expert and you want to work with them, just please inform them of these requirements, tell them more about the registration, explain that it won't take a lot of time, but you'll be able to cooperate through this platform. And after the verification of tender documentation, we will sign an agreement. You will get the funding. You will be able to use the funds on your own for any organizational expenses. And actually, that's more or less the scheme for all of our projects. Here is the phone number of our hotline, our email, and our social media pages. so you'll be able to find all the information on your organizational development. I hope it was useful. Thank you.
Так, перша важлива деталь, яку мені
First important detail we have been told by the event coordinators to tell the rest of the speakers, please be mindful of your time slot.
по цьому самостійно.
We won't be able to monitor it for you. And I'd like to invite here now Olena Ursu, Head of Projects on Democratic Governance from UNDP Ukraine. At the meantime, let me tell you a brief story. When before the service, I was head of the Center for Youth Intelligentsia. I do remember hosting dear Olena there. Yeah. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. A pleasure to be here to present UNDP-based veteran support programs. Actually, the UNDP is a piece of the UN universe. We've been working in Ukraine since 1993. We've never left the country, even for a moment. And the support of veterans and their families is among our core activities. We have some three core lines of activity currently. The one to improve the access for veterans and their family members to public services through the establishment of convenient digital services. Another part is quality rehabilitation and restoration program. And the last one, support to reintegration also at community level. As regards public services, electronic services, just a couple of examples of services we've been working on together with Ministry for Veteran Affairs, Ministry for Social Support, MinDigital, and so on. This includes Veteran ID in DIA. Since the introduction of it, more than 200,000 of them have been generated just for a month. A convenient way to enhance and facilitate connectivity with a variety of registries, quite a popular service, reducing the number of paperwork. Also, we've spoke today about sports as an important component to reintegrate veterans and support them. And another yet service is about helping veterans to apply for the Invictus Games. We initially had launched the service last year, and since the beginning of this one, more than 500 veterans used this opportunity. The third one is about selection of candidates to the position of an aide to veteran. We started with a pilot of it on 4 regions of Ukraine. Since then, about an hour ago, by the way, the acting minister announced the launch of a reviewed, enhanced type of service. It's available now. You can use it. Someone willing to provide assistance and support to veterans can register as an aide. Among other digital tools are such services as, applying for financial aid from the International Red Cross Society, available since last year, a digital service to get governmental grant on business development. It is available through DIA portal. Our digital team worked exactly on digital aspects of the service. Since the beginning of it, we issued 746 grants. Importantly, these are public money used for that purpose. The grants are available with a cap of 250,000, 500,000, or 1 million hryvnias. Another important service is, it's called Perhid transition. It is aimed at facilitating veterans' transition towards peaceful civil life. Many regions take part in the development of Ya Veteran, a veteran platform. We already have such platforms operating in Dnipropetrovsk and Mykolaiv oblasts. We work on the development of businesses loyal to veterans, where veterans will be able to check for businesses geographically or other factors for businesses friendly to veterans. We also work on rehabilitation and recovery. We work by helping healthcare institutions with equipment. We work with lots of rehabilitation clinics across the country. You can see the numbers here. One of the recent examples involves equipment provided to a prosthetic production facility in Dnipro to facilitate and speed up prosthetic limb production 5 times actually from their base rate. We also work on developing rehabilitation assisted technology cabinets. We work to create a recovery space for veterans in Rivne. We work also with Kropivnitsky, provided them with equipment to restore speech habits for veterans heavily affected by war traumas. We work on visual impairment mitigation measures, rehabilitation of eyesight, prosthetic measures. We have 2 centers in Vinnytsia and Lviv, also in the Unbroken Center. There is now an equipment to create prosthetic eyes. And we have already the first 6 veterans among the customers. Minister Zhilnovich mentioned today the initiative to improve the staffing of rehabilitation teams. It started last year and now it has been rolled out across the whole of the country. We work on further refining these measures, making them available not just to veterans but to also their family members. We work on methodological recommendations, how to improve this welfare and support. We work on measures to improve counseling, psychological advice, also in group format. Work in the field of art therapy. You could hear about that on floor 3 today. Lots of trainings are available for a variety of target groups working with veterans. This topic is still relatively new for us in spite of the great attention paid to it, also the central level. So with these high demands, we have lots of trainings for all sorts of officials at different levels, from central government to local self-government to military recruitment officers. We worked with veterans with disabilities and their supporting staff. We have a range of measures to improve employability of veterans. We've launched a competition among CSOs to see more veterans finding jobs. Please check our website for more information. You are welcome to provide your suggestions and ideas, by the way. We have a veteran employment program going on in Vinnytsia. It is also available for veterans with disabilities. We work with employers to broaden inclusive business opportunities, to see more veterans being employed, and we tell businesses how to become more inclusive. And again, the third pillar is reintegration, very promising and important part of our activities that we've started even before the full-scale invasion. We worked for a decade on that in Donetsk and Luhansk Oblast, and we work with the Ministry for Veteran Affairs other veteran development support centers that we see opening in a variety of cities in Ukraine. We help them develop their strategies. We work to improve their capacity. We support different formats of dialogue on ways of implementation of veteran policies. We are actively involved at local community levels, working over local, ecosystems of veteran rehabilitation. We created 25 centers to support veterans across communities of Ukraine. And this year, we support projects suggested by local CSOs in veteran matters to reintegrate our veterans. It is also important for us to see that Ukrainian veterans are known across the world. With the view of it, we participate in a variety of international events. All this has been possible thanks to our ongoing partner relations with our esteemed partners whose logos are presented on this slide. These are the organizations and institutions known to provide targeted support of veterans: the EU, Denmark, the Netherlands, Germany, South Korea, Japan, Sweden, and the UNDP. And we at UNDP are thankful to our partners for this opportunity. Please use this QR code to reach our UNDP website to learn more about employment opportunities, about partner organizations, about procurement and equipment for veteran centers, and much more. So our educational train is unstoppable and moves ahead. Please meet Olga Galchenko, Program Manager at the International Renaissance Foundation. A big round of applause to her. Hello, friends. I'm real glad to be able to share with you today some information about our organization. The IRF, to be exact. Those who would dream of seeing Soros minions watch intensely on this. It's my direction. I'm one of them. Yes, we represent a program, one of the many funded by George Soros and his family. We've been active in Ukraine for more than 30 years. We've started supporting veteran initiatives since the very start of this war in 2014. And since the full-scale invasion, we launched a full-scale program called Civic Resilience that I'm to proudly represent now. Here's the target audience: servicemen, veterans, the family members. We are able to support projects featuring active servicemen. I know of some donors having limitations on that. It's a bit easier for us here because we are a private foundation, and we are quite comfortable with projects involving active servicemen. We do know that every serviceman would be a veteran. We are ready. We work on reintegration in communities, social recovery and restoration, and human safety. I will tell a bit more about what stands behind these nifty names. I'm not going to tell you about just everything the IRF has been offering to veterans, but I will rather focus on some priority, focal or other painful points that we work and that we'd like some partners to join. We do hope that this forum will help us finding more partners to work together on these matters. Now, about our philosophy, our approach to working with veterans and their organizations. You know, it's always nice to be able to work with some super successful, positive image projecting veteran with good businesses humming with a nice family around, running as a candidate somewhere and opening a CSO of his or her own. A dream veteran for every donor. Question is, are we going to have many of them? Well, we do hope there will be a lot of them, and we work just on that. We think these people will make an elite to move this country forward, changing the public, changing the society. The president himself mentioned it today, that it is veterans that create this, that are actually this vehicle, this driving opportunity for the whole of the country. But let us be frank and open again. It's a big question whether just every veteran becomes a successful one. There are veterans, and there will be veterans who, after treatment with some very specific medicines, will turn to narcotics. There will be those who will go to binge drinking, who will find themselves on the margins of the society. Well, let us recognize there will be some of them. And let us be very clear. Sometimes guys go back from the front line to see a dilapidated house and his old mother there with no prospects for him or her. There are veterans that find themselves in the most challenging situation. And dealing with them will create positive example even for the most successful veterans. And it will be truly for the benefit of the whole veteran communities. So the question, how to deal with it, what to do. We have this, line of activity which we call veterans and the law. There will be those who will be, trying or effectively break the law. And we need to be mindful of that. We work with the Ministry for Interior, with the National Police on that. The National Police is going to have like an ombudsperson for veteran affairs in each oblast. Cases emerge when a serviceman, or veteran rather, would open a fight against a policeman or vice versa. It has to be dealt with. Now, there are veterans that, for some reasons, have found themselves behind the bars. Those serving their time, those going out of prison with risks of returning there. A huge problem, and we need to help veterans to stay clear from that or to improve their chances of dealing with it. Another yet point, our servicemen and veterans are probably among the least protected groups in terms of their legal rights, human rights. We work with lots of organizations, CSOs particularly, to help them. Now, substance abuse and required reforms of relevant policies, a problem that cannot be hushed. In the United States, most of the problems related to veterans are homelessness-related matters. I think in the case of Ukraine, substance abuse will be much more prominent. At this stage, we need to ascertain the stage at which the seduction develops before the war, at the time of active engagement afterwards, how it is related or not related with specific situations and conditions. And we need to be able to offer support to veterans suffering from addictions. We are open to any new idea on how to better our support. Now, we also need to further develop the evidential approach towards narcotic medicines and narcotic substances. Not every narcotic substance is absolutely an evil one. When it comes to heavy trauma, disfiguring disabilities, and so on, sometimes it may be the only way to relieve someone from pain. Medical cannabis, related measures, innovative approaches to deal with PTSD and related disorders, particularly when there are no other ways to help someone. We need to be able to knock every door for that. And another point concerns communities, local communities, and how to get them ready to rehome their veterans. I think sometimes veterans coming back to bigger cities are a bit better off. They find it a tad easier to find better employment or healthcare specialists, even maybe home. They find it easier a bit to reconvalesce, to rediscover themselves. But let us face the statistics. More than half of our veterans are from smaller rural village communities, which leaves a big and open question of what local communities, what they will and what they have to do to meet their fellow veterans. We're working on ways of supporting communities. We are supported by the Coalition of Veteran Organizations. We work on different expert levels in an attempt to change things. We want to support veteran spaces in local communities. Many communities now are willing to open such spaces, and we need to help them do it. And they should be able to do it in a quality way. Hopefully next year we'll be able to announce already the fourth call, which we call Hold the Line, open for veterans, local level professionals. We've heard about an aid to veteran, this new opportunity. We need to have more professionals to deal with veterans. Many communities ask themselves and ask the question where to find such a professional, how to train one. We need to work better with communities to understand how such a professional and veteran things can be actually trained and procured. And last but not the least, that should come first is barrier-free access. Even in this city, in capital of the country, the picture is quite bleak. Even worse than that, we will see in regional towns. And I think that organizations, United Veterans, veterans with disabilities, expert associations, they have to say more on that. We are open for proposals. We want to do something about it. We want to see some systemic solutions to work for both the veterans themselves, local communities, the state itself. This inclusivity has to become a thing in this country finally. And I think this is it. I'd like to thank the ministry for this opportunity. I will be glad to speak with all of you behind this scene. Thank you.
Dear friends, I would like to remind you once again that this forum was organized thanks to the Ministry for Veterans Affairs and international partners. And now I would like to give the floor to the Acting Minister for Veterans Affairs, Mr. Porhun. Please, the floor is yours.
Доброго дня, шановні.
Good afternoon, dear veterans and veterans' family members, fallen soldiers' family members, dear partners. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to all of you for finding the time and the possibility to come to the capital and participate in this 7th International Veteran Forum. And the topic of today's forum is the development of new veterans policy.
Ми повинні її
As I already mentioned today, we need to create this policy and make it flexible and adapted to you, for you, without creating conditions you do not need. Because judging from my own example, I understand that the legislation we currently have is outdated. It is not efficient anymore. And actually not so many of you use it.
Напрямок, який
The next direction I would like to cover is combination of activities of different branches of power to achieve joint result. We heard many speeches today by the ministers,
особисті
and they were showcasing their examples from their ministries, what they did for the male and female veterans, for the fallen defenders. First of all, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to work jointly on solutions. And I suggest you all join the development of this new veterans policy.
громадські
I invite everyone, civil society organizations,
разом ми це зможемо
because together we will be able to do it, and believe me, we will do it, because we really need this, and in future we will need very non-standard, extraordinary solutions.
моя команда
So my team, which is currently working in the Ministry for Veteran Affairs, has this goal, and we are taking these decisions. I would like to thank international partners for helping us to organize this event,
ви безпосередньо робите
for the fact that you are very engaged and you do a lot for the veterans and their family members. You create different programs, you provide funding, you provide your assistance in terms of development of regulatory acts. You also provide funding for the experts who speed up this work. You participate in generation of joint ideas, and we will be able to implement them in future.
шмат роботи.
We have a lot of work in front of us, starting from employment and accompanying of former servicemen and servicewomen, and up to the launch of the single veterans hotline
Створення в громадах
and creation in communities, in cities, in oblasts, in rayon, the infrastructure for veterans policy to effectively implement it later.
без вас для вас разом до
So we should move forward together to the victory, and we should overcome these bureaucratic processes. Glory to Ukraine.
Тож, ми будемо
So let's continue our educational panel, and I would like to give the floor to Stephen Rogers from the IOM office in Ukraine. Please, the floor is yours.
Якщо ви не брали навушники,
If you need interpretation, don't bother. Mr. Stephen will speak in Ukrainian. Thank you very much for the round of applause. As other speakers, I am very happy that I have this opportunity to give the speech in front of you, and I would like to express my gratitude to the Ministry for Veteran Affairs for the invitation and for our long-standing cooperation.
Якщо коротко, також про
Briefly about the IOM.
організацію, що
We are an organization which is part of the UN ecosystem. And please don't be confused by the title. Migration and displacement are phenomena related to everyone, especially in the context of an ongoing war.
власне і
So we support the reintegration of veterans. We have been doing it for the last 6 years, starting from 2018. We have been working on different levels. and in different areas. And during this time, we
Понад
um,
7 тисяч
cooperated with over 77,000 people. We provided assistance to the veterans and veteran members, veteran family members, and members of different communities, villages, and cities where veterans live. Among other things, we at the IOM we provided technical and advisory support.
у сфері також
We have been working in the area of social cohesion and psychosocial support,
економічної.
as well as economic support to the veterans. We have been doing all of that to ensure as good reintegration of veterans as possible.
Співпрацю з Міністерством
We have been cooperating with the Ministry for Veteran Affairs, and I would like to briefly outline some of our joint achievements for the last year.
разом створили онлайн
We have created a new map which is available online, and it gives you an overview of services in the government sector.
понад 12
There are currently over 12,000 services mentioned on the map
700.
and 700 openings.
Якщо ви зацікавлений,
So if you're interested, you can look at this map, and I hope that this map will be useful.
Далі, як вже було
Now, as was already mentioned, we
до створення перших
also joined the establishment of the first centers for veterans development in Dnipro, Vinnytsia, Lviv, and Mykolaiv. And we plan to help the establishment of similar centers in other cities. We assist in their
було вже
equipment in the following months. We already mentioned the importance of surveys, data analysis, while we develop different strategies, approaches, and policies in the area of assistance to veterans and their reintegration. So, over the last year, we have conducted a survey and we published it. Over 1,000 people joined this survey, and it focused on the challenges and barriers for social reintegration of veterans.
між іншим цікавим також
It was also mentioned by other speakers today, which testifies to the importance of this area. We also provided technical assistance
це допомога
as well as advisory assistance, and it was related to the strategies, policies, and legislation related to veterans affairs. I would also like to add that over the last year,
також кампанію
we launched an awareness-raising campaign about MHPSS. And this campaign reached over 16 million people in Ukraine.
за
According to different assessments, we can see that in future, up to 10% of Ukrainian population can become veterans. We
про те, що
also heard at the third floor today that not only the veterans should adapt, but the whole society should adapt their behavior to the new situation. All those who are not serving also have to adapt to the life with the veterans. So we are going to continue working in the areas I already outlined.
Також базуючись на тому, що було сказано
And based on what was said today, we need to
ветеранів,
keep listening to the veterans and their family members, community members, village and city members. We need to keep cooperating with the partners from the government and international partners, ensure advocacy, and we need to develop new policies and best practices,
які стосуються
as well as conduct research into the topics related to the reintegration of veterans
кращих політик,
in order to implement better policies, better activities in future. And that's going to be it from me. Thank you for your attention.
Ми рухаємось далі.
We are continuing, and our next speech will be by Anna Didenko, head of the Department for Rehabilitation and Support of Ukrainian Red Cross. So let's welcome her with a round of applause. Good afternoon or good evening. I am happy to present the activities of the Ukrainian Red Cross Society. We mentioned many different practices that exist for the veterans today, and I think that you will hear about many more practices from us. And I think it's great that different initiatives get together to create a better system operating in Ukraine, not only on the level of local projects. Briefly about the Ukrainian Red Cross Society, we are the biggest humanitarian organization of Ukraine. We are a Ukrainian organization, and we have been operating for over 106 years for the whole territory of Ukraine, under the control of Ukrainian government, and most of our activities are implemented by volunteers. We currently have over 8,000 volunteers and over 5,000 employees who implement activities in different areas all over Ukraine. And we are represented in big cities as well as small towns and villages. We have over 200 hubs in Ukraine, and many of our offices were damaged or destroyed since the 24th of February. I won't tell you in detail about all the activities, but I would like to mention that the Ukrainian Red Cross defines several priority areas. In particular, they are related to rehabilitation, mental health and psychosocial support. Mobile brigades are operating across the country. We also have a network of social workers who ensure support on place for those people who are not able to take care of themselves. We also participate in evacuation, and we keep doing it. We also work in the area of demining, awareness raising, and mental health. I would like to focus on the activities of my department. Most of the services related to the veterans are the responsibility of the Department for the Rehabilitation and Support. And the key areas are provision of psychosocial support, mental health support, counseling, support on the places of air attacks. We provide psychosocial support in different oblasts of Ukraine. We accompany evacuation of civil population from different areas close to the front line. We also launched a service of rehabilitation at home. We provide equipment for rehabilitation, and we give advice as to rehabilitation at home. We also provide training to the population, representatives of government and non-government sectors. We train to provide psychosocial support. We also conduct awareness-raising campaign about the proven methods of rehabilitation. The Ukrainian Red Cross Society implements these services together with the Ministry for Social Policy, and it is a transitional period so that the veterans adapt to civilian life. There are two stages of this service, and we are involved in the first stage of this service. We participate in the 7-day program for social recovery, and it includes activities with the veterans and their family members, as well as the sessions for the improvement of interaction between the family members.
Speaking about the objective of this phase is to really tune the people to the further and fuller restoration inside the community, and fostering that feeling of connectivity with community members, between them and families or veterans. We already have examples of veterans making some first acquaintance during some visits to each other, even when living inside one community, continuing later on to communicate, to make friends, gathering to some joint feasts, maybe birthday parties and so on, just rebuilding the fabric of life. And in my view, this is just a small example of how such things can develop further as a support measure. After the first stage, we go for the second stage, which is about supporting the community. It's a bit more time-consuming process, covering the full, line from being decommissioned to complete return to a civic life. And surely it involves certain training, retraining, and it involves also measures to support family members. Women become increasingly important and instrumental, and really it will require some new steps to re-enable communication between the retired veterans and families. Together with the Ministry for Veteran Affairs, we have a hot desk for veterans. We have about 10 phone operators to work there. We started in the first in spring this year, and we have been answering questions related to counseling, employment opportunities, and housing and accommodation. So I think if anyone is in need of information about psychological support, counseling, or some practical steps to be done while becoming civic, you can go there, you can call them. In terms of recovery and rehabilitation, We've introduced a new service that has never been at the community level, which is really about community level rehabilitation. On top of rehabilitation efforts in clinical setting, which normally comes after a wound is received, say, a person. We also have other tiers of it, going deeper into the life, further away from the front line. We want such rehabilitation services available to veterans when they come back home. This involves not only healthcare services and rehabilitation services, but also certain steps to reconfigure their home space, restructure it to accommodate for new needs. We also train veterans in ways of properly using different tools, different medical equipment and devices available to people with disabilities. We work with family members, training them how to correctly deal with veterans, particularly those in need of special physical attention. We currently work in 5 oblasts: Lviv, Ivano-Frankivsk, Ternopil, Ivano-Frankivsk, Mykolaiv. We plan to roll it out to all other oblasts of Ukraine. In terms of the reconstruction of rehabilitation centers, the URCC has joined such reconstruction efforts to see that rehabilitation services offered at such centers meet their highest standards. We've joined the reconstruction of the Unbroken Center in Lviv, mentioned several times today. We've participated in the rebuilding of a rehabilitation center in Lutish. It had been severely damaged during the Russia's full-scale aggression. We also work to improve rehabilitation centers in Pushcha-Voditsa and in Borodenka. Particularly in the latter, we contributed to the building of a sports hall to offer new opportunities for veterans undergoing rehabilitation there. It also provides family opportunities for veterans and their family members. Based on our own activities, we see how important it is to join our efforts. Really, the third sector has to be involved because donors often support small-scale on-the-spot projects in individual communities on specific topics. But the problem is that as soon as donor funding is over, many times such activities cease to exist. Quite often we see that there is no ownership at the community level. Because of that, we need to think about systemic solutions to ensure that international assistance available to Ukraine, to the Ukrainian government, to deliver top-quality services can be translated into something sustainable in a system that will exist and operate for years to come. So I would invite everyone to think about long-term solutions that will work for next 15, 20 years to ensure that the recovery and rehabilitation process goes to its maximum. Thank you. Oh, I think if you've been to some music festivals, I've been there. There are headliners that many people expect, and there will be headliners here. Let me invite the last speaker for this time slot. please meet Karina Doroshenko, Deputy Executive Director of the Ukrainian Veteran Fund.
Доброго дня. Дуже приємно, що
Good afternoon.
всі попередні партнери згадували про нашу діяльність, тому поки
I'm pleased to hear that nearly every previous panelist mentioned our activity.
чим займається Український ветеранський фонд.
That gave an opportunity to remember what we are doing with and dealing with.
Міністерство у справах ветеранів
Our foundation, our fund, we were founded on 22nd of February 2022 under the aegis of the Ministry for Veteran Affairs. So we are less than 3 years old.
якби не дати в штангу. Ми завжди робимо аналітичні дослідження, бо знаємо,
So in order to work as intended, not in a hit and miss mode, we always precede our interventions with some thorough surveys. One of the recent surveys have always mentioned financial support as something that veterans have mentioned the most. Many veterans say they would like to open a small business of their own in the future. With a view of that, our fund, since 2023, has been providing money for private business development. We have a program that is being implemented in various modes, focusing on business. We have a program called Varto,
і в нас ще є
and we also have a microfinancing project up to 20,000 hryvnias for veteran business-related matters.
понад 800 ветеранських підприємств, і це
For the time, we've been able to help more than 800 veteran businesses. This is about money being offered those people who then return the money in their communities. This turns the whole cycle, and it tells people convincingly that veterans are not people on welfare needing money from others, but they are active economy agents. And this helps shaping a positive image of veterans,
вже давно треба
things that has been long overdue, not just starting this year. There will be many more veterans here.
проекти на понад 400 мільйонів,
We worked on projects with a total aggregate budget of more than 400 million hryvnias. As of today,
вони заплатили податків у свої громади, і це
actually the amount of financial support from our fund is less than the number of taxes paid by those veterans to their local budgets. But this is not just about money and business. We have lots of programs, lots of ideas to reintegrate our veterans. Thanks to our international partners, our donors, these programs are being actively implemented. Support hotline set up back in 2022 works counselors offering professional assistance to everyone, calling them up. We also added lawyers there, and we've been able to process more than 33,000 calls so far.
ці гарячі
The key psychologist, by the way, working the line is a veteran herself in her own line. Legal counselor is also another veteran. So I think they are well positioned, even best positions, to help veterans as much as
також ми
it's necessary. Also with support from the IRF,
шлях ветеран
we designed a handbook called The Way of Veteran. It is being distributed via the recruitment centers because we deem these centers as the key entry and exit points for people that ultimately become veterans. And this handbook is aimed at various target groups.
реалізацію проєктів, які спрямовані
We're also working on a variety of projects aimed at physical activity-related rehabilitation. We are a co-coordinator chapter of Everforce Trails, Invictus Games, and other such big and reputable sports events. We are actively supported businesses and CSOs involved in sports opportunities for veterans. We supported TrenVet, which is an app to offer opportunities at the regional level to find trainers, sports trainers, ready to help veterans going for sports. We've launched a project to support sports-based physical rehabilitation on veterans. We have a team of experts working to refine this project. Some calls have been announced already, and it will be a challenge. I can tell you outright, it will be a challenge to sift through these applications to screen out the best ones. But definitely these programs are worth taking on. We have positive experience working with ISA Jednania. We had fruitful cooperation with MHP community branch. This is to address different ways in which our veterans can be reintegrated in civil life. We have huge campaigns on rehabilitation techniques to be applied to veterans. We work with employers and staff groups to tell them how to better integrate veterans returning to their jobs. The Ukrainian Veteran Fund has always been based on figures and specific analysis. I repeat this. We work to develop public attitudes towards veterans. We do opinion polls every 6 months. We had 4 of them carried out so far. And we see that, unfortunately, the respect for veterans slides down a bit. Now, this event is just yet one opportunity for businesses, CSOs, and the government to communicate. But now, the paramount question is how to work with veterans, how to build our joint future together with them. We at our team, we as a fund team, we are ready to work whatever path to see that the Ukrainian future is being built with Ukrainian veterans, together with them, because these people need to understand why have they suffered so much defending this country. I strongly hope that further on we will be even better able to support the many veterans initiatives. Many of them are represented here on the second floor. You can see some of the results of veteran-based companies that we supported with their own eyes, and I truly thank everyone who's participating in it and who is present here today. Will be glad to network and expand our communication. Okay, it's 4 to 6 on my watch, and we're going to have a break of 23 minutes. We are to reconvene at 6:20 to continue. Please don't forget to come back.
Хто там ще допивають, доїдають, будь ласка, я запрошую вас сюди. Заходьте.
Please come back here to the hall, take your seats. I understand that having a coffee break is important, but intellectual discussions are also important, so please come here. Actually, we're going to have another TED Talk, which will take 10 to 12 minutes. After that, we're going to have a panel discussion, and I hope it will be active. And now I would like to give the floor to Olena Tolkachova, head of Azov Patronage Service and founder of charitable foundation Azov Angels. So please give her a round of applause. See, everyone loves applause. So take the mic. Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Olena Tolkachova, head of Azov Patronage Service and third separate brigade. It happened so that we work for two different brigades from Ministry of Internal Affairs and the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Why it happened so? Because we started working within the Azov battalion. Now there are two different brigades. We became bigger, and now we have a huge expertise in terms of veterans-related affairs, prosthesis, reintegration. There are a lot of areas we cover. We provide complete social support, social protection for the veterans, for the servicemen under our auspices. We do not stop our assistance to the servicemen as soon as they become veterans. We keep helping them. There are no veterans to whom we'd say that that's it. It's been 3 years and you can not seek further assistance from the patronage service. It doesn't happen like that. We stay until the army exists. As long as the army exists, I think it's okay to maintain this connection between the veterans and their units. So during this speech, I would like to focus on one specific topic, which is prosthesis, and I would like to emphasize the matters that exist in Ukraine and are related to the servicemen who go back to the front line. They might not participate in active combat activities, but they are engaged in other activities like using UAVs, etc. And so I will focus on this. First of all, I would like to thank the Ministry of Social Policy for listening to us and for being very open, for making changes, making amendments to the legislative documents that regulate funding for prosthesis. And we prepared slides for the representatives of the Ministry of Social Policy, and it's going to be in particular about usage of funds they have. And that's how we'll be able to provide funding to different centers like Superhumans. They keep looking for funding for good prosthesis, and we would like to suggest to the Ministry of Social Policy to help them and cover all of these costs. We studied the legislation, we studied the demand, the possibilities of the Ministry of Social Policy budget. We understand now what are the bugs that can be corrected, and thus will be able to provide prostheses for many men and women without recurring to these huge raising campaigns we keep writing about on social media pages. So since the beginning of the full-scale invasion, approximately 60,000. The number is approximate because you understand that it's for our internal use. We cannot give you specific numbers. But judging by our experience and our communication with different centers, we got this number. So next, the problem itself. We have two decrees that provide the procedure for getting prostheses. And so it's the decree number 321 over 4 billion hryvnias were allocated this year. As of the 30th of July, 60% of this sum was used. It says that the prices that currently exist are not well balanced, and they do not correspond to the market price. So that's why the budget is not used completely. That's why veterans receive prostheses of basic quality, and for people who underwent serious amputations, it's not a way out, especially if these are young people. In our units, we got the statistics, and we now know that the average age of people who got amputated limb is 23 to 25. They want to keep actively living, and that's why they need prostheses of high quality. And the Ministry of Social Policy has all the possibilities. We only need some amendments to the regulatory acts. There is another decree, number 518, and it is about allocating funds for electronic means for new technologies, and we could use this decree 3 years after primary prosthesis. After that, we did some work with the ministry, and they made it 1 year. So now, a veteran can apply for another prosthesis in 1 year, and the state will pay for it. But taking into account the reality we have, we understand that we need to use electronic prosthesis and not ones of the average quality. We need the top quality prostheses that exist in the world, like electronic knee genium. How is it different from other prostheses? It is waterproof, and for the servicemen who go back to the front line after amputation, it's very important because they the rain might start at any point, and when they are performing the duties, they are under a lot of strain. So that's the procedures which will be the most suitable for those servicemen who go back to the front line. These electronic knees are developed especially for the American servicemen by Americans, and when the servicemen return to the front line after amputation, it's a scenario which is of benefit for the state because they already have some experience. They can be drone operators. That's how we relieve this burden for the armed forces. We do not need to replace the wounded servicemen by the newly drafted servicemen who need to be taught and who need to get experience. So it's much more useful for the state. So because of this low maximum prices, a low percentage of funding was used. It's a very low number, taking into account that we only have several months until the end of this year, and most probably the Ministry of Social Policy won't be able to use these funds, and they will go back to the budget, and we will keep fundraising for electronic procedures.
Let me show you this example of how the 321 resolution looks like. Primary prosthetic work. The first bug to be found here is, the total price for this prosthetic limb all the way to pelvic zone with thigh bending opportunity, which is what we call high amputation. So you are allotted just 481,869 hryvnias for one. If you're, sorry to say it, if you are lucky to have an amputation just above the knee and your pelvic region is intact, you can get more. 824,000. Strange a bit, doesn't it? Should be in reverse. Yet still, Resolution 321 says that for an amputee with amputation above the knee, the person gets nearly twice as much than for the high amputation until the pelvic region. For below the knee amputees, the money, well, let us be frank, the money is enough because most of the load is borne by knees. And the full prosthetic prosthesis really costs less, so that you can use the available money to buy a decent prosthesis even to allow you going for sports. Now again, about price ranges. Let us take the high amputation with thigh disarticulation. Again, the resolution says a serviceman may procure a prosthesis up to 481,000 hryvnias, which is equivalent to a bit more than $12,500. The basic prosthesis available on the market let me just come to terms. So some market prices for basic joints. It's like nearly 1,200,000 hryvnias, which is about $30,000+
Виходить так, що, наприклад,
for a normal international prosthesis. Because of that, our patronage service, our fund, regularly
залишаються ще
tops up the bill.
ціни,
And the government did not raise the price ceiling to the market level, unfortunately. We suggest the Ministry for Social Welfare reviews the available resolution to better use the money available till the end of the year. This is an amputation above the knee, the so-called transfemoral one, and these are the amounts from the previous slides. You can see that a person may collect about 21,500. For this purpose, it does not allow for a normal, decent, I would say, prosthesis. This is rather a very basic model,
військовослужбовці.
practically unusable for a serviceman. A model like this will never be able to hold the load a person will have to endure its military service, and this is not water-resistant one,
Для того, щоб
which is again important. Say walking under the rain will not be possible. A person will have to switch for crutches, saving their prosthesis in case of rain.
постанови
Again, another reason to demand amendments to the resolution.
такої ампутації
And the end price for such prosthesis, we were able to get the numbers from our market survey. It's about 1,200,000 hryvnias. Again, more than $30,000 equivalent. One account from our serviceman who returned to the front line with an amputation above the knee. The guy really was nearly crying, preparing the message to us. This is a transcript of his voicemail. We had to pay
йому не підходить для
more than 40,000 hryvnias for his prosthesis, for 400,000, sorry, and the resulting prosthesis was not suitable. It didn't fit for active service. The guy says he had to return to hospital,
це вага.
and the prosthesis is computer operated. One has to connect it to a laptop to enter relevant figures on workload, other such conditions, which is not a possible case for him on the front line. He says, every time I have to get another piece of equipment or armament in my hands, I have to proceed it by a connection to a laptop to reconfigure the load-bearing status of the prosthesis. The guy says this is practically impossible, and he further questions, would it be possible for us to compensate for the price differential for these prostheses? The total again amount stands at roughly 3 million hryvnias. This is the market price for a Genium water-resistant prosthesis used by American servicemen. And by the way, we have a guy here, our serviceman sitting here in the hall with this piece of equipment, prosthetic equipment. He says he's very much happy with what he's got now. Having tried lots of them, he's finally confident in his prosthesis, and for a young person willing to lead an active life, it's probably the only viable option. Still more that the budget does have money for that. The only question remaining is how to correctly distribute the money, earmark them for that. And another bug to report, the one we have. A serviceman with wounds to lower extremity at the time of defense near Kiev. Before that, he served in Azov since 2014, so not his first wound, not his first trauma. A nice, well-trained military professional. With this type of amputation, he has remained as military instructor to break in the greenhorns. So it happens that the upper part of the prosthesis
навантажує.
does not work for him. The guy has to give loads
Не повинно бути.
on the stump. And the picture you see here, this should not happen. Should not have happened. These are really very dangerous hematomas, potentially leading to another bout of amputation. Why it has happened? Why the stump is looking like this? Because for him
Сімейного лікаря
to get a change to this stump receiver, the guy would have to go to family doctor to get a referral to a military hospital to undergo a qualified comprehensive military commission at that civilian hospital to send him for a similar commission but in the armed forces.
буде написано.
And then he is probably to get some final verdict from military medics that yes, the guy may really need another piece of equipment. And then with this paper, he will have to go to the prosthesis making company to order another, a better one prosthesis. I think this is quite inhumane, still more for a serving veteran.
Не зміг потрапити.
In this specific case, our serviceman, because of his huge workload, was not able to meet his prosthesis specialist because he's always away with those new recruits. He spends all the time training them. He cannot afford himself a time, time off for about a month to deal with those papers, those commissions, referrals, so on. So this results in a problem like this. So what we would ask from the Ministry for Social Protection, we would want you guys to toss away all those existing procedures and replace them with some simplified procedure involving maybe an opportunity to replace such type of equipment 2-3 times a year, if and when necessary. It should be an automated one.
Довільний шлях.
And not this prolonged and really killing and chilling procedure I've described, just for the sake of using government money in the way they have devised it. I think you've got the scale of the problem. I do hope for the support from civic society organizations, charity foundations on this.
Політики.
We would appreciate also to address the Ministry for Social Protection, to bring their attention once more about this problem that stands prominently, that really is affecting our military fighting capacities, because it effectively hinders young people willing and desirous of going back to the front line. They simply cannot afford it because the government is not able to provide them with enough funds to get prostheses they need, forcing them to crowdfund that, to open GoFundMe pages and like this. Not willing to get just run-of-the-mill prosthesis affordable under the government scheme.
завдання, які перед ними ставлять.
And definitely, with that type of procedures still available to them, they cannot be regarded as fully fledged servicemen. We have a resolution 470 still sitting at the Ministry of Defense with
Якими можуть
lots of new military qualifications available to allow
придатні до військової
servicemen not fully compatible in terms of their health status. This would allow them to continue serving. At the moment, this is at the discretion of their immediate commander, whether a person should be relieved from service or change position or so on. Meanwhile, this new resolution that is in the ministry currently may be signed into law. And the question will remain, how will it help our brave amputees willing to go back to the front line?
От маємо таке
So these are our requests. Big thanks for having me. I'm off.
Так, будемо продовжувати, власне,
And we go on.
в форматі TED. Далі в нас
We are done with TED-type talks, and now we have a discussion format.
панель буде мати
Our next panel will be about the key role that civic society institutions are playing or are to play in the veteran policy. Our panelists will be speaking not only about successful project, but also about those in need of refinement. My son, brother, my neighbor, the citizen of my country. Some of you might say veterans deserve respect. But we would say it's more important, even more important, to have respect to one himself. Tolerance is a huge buzzword, but it means little without heart. Do not tolerate lack of law, irrelevance. We don't need special attention. We need not special honors. Every one of us simply could not do anything other way than do what he or she did. We just want to remain among you. We want job and job security. We want services that make our lives easier, not harder. We want proper attitude. It's not about searching for a common way for everyone. It's already this common way for everyone. It's the feeling of common objective, of joint work to reach the future that depends on us and belongs only to us. This is what I'm telling my child about. Right. And we're going to start a panel on the key role of that civil society institutions will have to play in veteran policies, with some caveat that it should be also about success stories. And we are still missing some people, but in order to start, dear Lubo, just be careful. Please welcome Tatiana Sihaeva, professional in community mobilization, project manager. She will be mediating and moderating the panel and facilitating it. She's a skilled expert in gamification and coordinator of surveys in social cohesion, environment, and governance, quite a roster. And please welcome our panelists. A big round of applause to them. because they are brimming with nice stories to tell. Good evening, dear panel participants, our participants. Big thanks for you to staying strong enough and remaining here. Many of us, I do hope, I will sound not as long as my list of qualifications went. Before starting the discussion, I'd like to represent everyone. Ruslan Prichodko, Deputy Minister for Veteran Affairs of Ukraine, Oksana Kolyada, Chair of Простір можливостей CSO, Coordinator of the Veteran Spaces, Active Servicemen, Tetiana Rudenko, Head of the Board at Вільний Вибір CSO, Любов Галаган, Co-founder of the Principal Human Rights Center. Sorry, Halan, not Halahan. Olga Lehan, head of the Kharkiv Oblast Organization of the Wives of ATO Veterans, Victor representing Mykolaiv Center to Support in Mykolaiv, and Vera representing the Impact Force Organization. The whole event is dedicated to people who have been helping us to fight for the democratic country. We are fighting for this right on a daily basis, and it sounds only logical that everyone has to fight for the democratic country, everyone who shares the democratic values. I think many times I've heard CSOs being called the third sector. So what are the two other sectors if we are the third one? How many of the sectors are there?
Діалог, чи як називається це?
With proper time available, we would kickstart a discussion on that. But let me just respond quickly. We have four sectors: the government, businesses. The third sector belongs to us, and the fourth one is the media. If we imagine the interaction before the four sectors, like here in the room, we will see them working in different corners, at times meeting at the center of it. So the question is how often they are going to meet each other at the center, and what will the nature and the result of it will be. So if they will be meeting at the center to discuss their joint efforts, to me the atmosphere here will be a harmonious one. So the results will be much better than them working each in her respective corner. I'd like to pass the floor now over to Ruslan to explain us what are the current directions of the veteran policies of the government, and where do third sector organizations stand for in these veteran policies?
Hello, good afternoon again. I can see that everyone is a bit tired, but I would like to thank all the panel discussion participants for being here. You represent very powerful organizations today. Our international partners, veteran organization, veteran businesses are all represented here. That's great. I find great inspiration in this atmosphere. First of all, I would like to start that Alexander Porkhun, the new head of the Ministry here of Ukraine, said when he was appointed that we would work openly and we will follow the main factor, which is nothing for the veterans without veterans. That's something he also said during his speech today, and the whole team of the ministry is very open to any communication, any interaction. We will involve all the expertise we need of the most powerful civil society organizations and coalitions to develop new, powerful, effective veteran policy. That's something which goes without saying. We signed a joint document with the coalition of civil society organizations in the area of veterans policy. We will join our efforts and move forward together. I will attempt to describe these slides with simple words. First of all, according to the data of the Unified State Register of Veterans, we have over 1,360,000 of veterans participants of combat activities, family members of veterans and fallen soldiers, and unfortunately this number keeps growing. If we compare this number with the number we had before the start of the full-scale invasion of Russia in Ukraine, if we only take participants of combat activities, there were 488,000 of them. So you can see the dynamics of processes in our state. We all understand that this number will keep growing, and taking into account the general number of the population in Ukraine and the demographic situation, we need to understand that we should not regard veterans without their family members, and over 35% of society will be veterans or veteran family members. So today we keep actively working, and through the Ukrainian Veterans Foundation we conduct a lot of surveys with focus groups. We use expertise of other institutes of civil society to set a new policy based on the real needs of the veterans. Sometimes we might have different vision of the same processes, taking into account our experiences of politicians, civil society activists. However, any strategy, any policy has to be based on figures, so you can see the needs veterans have on the slide according to the results of different sociological study conducted among former and current servicemen. So if we analyze the current state of affairs, let's imagine the situation when we work on the new ecosystem. We can say that the current system has a rather theoretical and declarative approach, and they do not correspond to the demand veterans have. We can state that there is a limitation of some tools, and it's a real problem which does not motivate veterans to become more integrated in the society and more economically involved. We can see that many different policies duplicate each other. We have many similar standards, and expenses and different levels also duplicate each other, and we can see that funding is provided for in the communities and in the state budget, so the resources are not effectively used. There is no single unified approach. There is no institutional stance, and a lot of initiatives are implemented by civil society organizations, units, and it's good that we have them, that they share their expertise, and in some communities there are specific programs, specific infrastructure for the veterans and their family members, but unfortunately We cannot say that it is something systemic, and there are over 460 communities in Ukraine, and we need all of them to have the necessary environment for the returning veterans. As a representative of the Ministry of Veteran Affairs, I can say that as of today, the ministry does not implement this single coordination system, but it's our goal. We work on that to become as efficient as possible, to coordinate the assistance to the veterans and their family members, to coordinate it on the level of oblasts, of communities. Speaking about
перші кроки, які
our vision of the first steps needed to change the relevant system. Of course, the system is based on the regulatory acts. So we need to amend the main regulatory acts, such as the law on the status of the veterans of war. We prepared a number of draft laws. We will soon publicly communicate about them together with civil society organizations and other authorities. We would like to break this into 4 different draft laws for those who have been fighting, have been defending our territorial integrity since 2014. Also, for the categories of veterans who participate in previous stages of the fight for the independence, the veterans of the wars of the 20th century. It's the draft law about those who participated in the Revolution of Dignity and family members of the Heavenly Hundred defendants, and the draft law for those who suffered as a result of military activities. And on this slide, you can see an approximate calculation of the relation of different categories to these draft laws. So we will work so that the Ministry of Social Policy takes the responsibility for these categories. It's also important to decide on the areas of responsibility. So the current servicemen and the veterans who are already former servicemen who are beneficiaries of the Veterans Policy, and the Ministry for Veterans Affairs will coordinate and implement the respective policy for this category. It's an important element, and it will be reflected in our regulatory acts. We need to develop and model the coordination system starting from the central authorities and all the elements of the infrastructure to implement veterans policy. We need to take into account the position of veterans as beneficiaries of this policy. We need to view how they make use of different possibilities, how and where they get different services and other things they need while reintegrating the society, civilian society. Another important element of the veteran policy is coordination of different means and stakeholders involved in implementation of this policy. We need to coordinate and eliminate the problematic issues that emerge when there is a collision of responsibilities of different authorities, because all the bureaucratic processes should by no means be a problem of the beneficiaries of this policy, the veterans. We ourselves need to coordinate our efforts on this path. Excuse me, but I'm a timekeeper today, Yes, thank you. And very briefly, we should work on the meanings that are present in this policy. We should think about this whole cycle of the veterans who were wounded. We should think about the needs of fallen soldiers' family members, the whole infrastructure needed to effectively implement the respective policy and achieve strategic goals that you can currently see on the slide.
Тому на аналізі їхньої позиції
So we think about the future regulatory basis and speaking about the main topic of our panel discussion, the role of civil society institutions in the development of the policy, we need partnerships, we need joint implementation of the policy on the level of communities. We need to use the expertise of these institutions, and we need to evaluate the efficiency of any policy, and we need to mobilize the civil society institutions and to cooperate with them as partners at the stage of the development of the policy, at the stage of the implementation of this policy, and the stage of evaluation of its effectiveness. Thank you, Ruslan. There were a lot of areas covered in your presentation as to the services, the cooperation aspects, and I know that for many years civil society institutions have been ensuring functioning of many services for the veterans locally, and there were many plays present here today in the T-shirts of veteran spaces, and I would like to give the mic to Ms. Oksana for her to speak about how the work with veterans goes on locally. I also had the same T-shirt, but I had to put on a suit, so sorry, but I'm truly a part of this HISH community, this HISH family. It's an important day for us as the community, as the coalition. It's a great honor for me. President signed a decree today stating very clearly a role and the task for veteran spaces in Ukraine. There is a whole paragraph on ensuring functioning of veterans spaces in Ukraine and creation of new spaces, taking into account the experience of those that already exist. We actually represent the spaces that already exist in Ukraine. They appeared back in 2014. If I'm not mistaken, the first space was opened in Lviv, the city center for the provision of services for the combat veterans. Speaking about our community, the coalition includes 26 organizations. These are regional organizations, but last year an organization from Hamburg, Germany joined us, and we, as a coalition, identified a new target audience, which is the military veterans undergoing rehabilitation abroad. And after they left the armed forces of Ukraine, they made a decision to stay there. What are the veterans' spaces? It's a place for the provision of services, which is a tool for the implementation of veterans policy. It's a range of standardized services, the ones you can see on the slide. Legal counseling, primary, secondary, if the assistance of lawyers is needed. We work with the families who are still waiting for their servicemen. It's career support, psychological support, and if we speak about more powerful veteran spaces, they provide additional services. There are veteran spaces that provide spaces for rental for the centers for the provision of administrative services. They also provide rehabilitation services. In particular, in Sumy, city hospital rents part of the building. Since the end of 2023, in 8 veteran spaces, there are mobile groups, and judging by the results of their activities, we can see that 8 mobile brigades traveled through 33,000 kilometers. They visited 89 communities, which means that families in very distant communities also get an opportunity to get these services. How do we do it? We use our chat bot of the Coalition of Veteran Spaces. So you can scan the QR code to access the chat bot. You can ask for the assistance in different areas. We also simplify the process for the veterans and for the servicemen. They can only indicate a minimum information about themselves without stating their real names. The most unexpected request the coalition received through this chatbot was a request to organize a wedding. We were thinking for half an hour when we received this request. In Vinnytsia region, there is a veteran undergoing rehabilitation in a hospital, and he asked for the organization of a wedding with a nurse he met in this hospital, and we actually helped to organize it in Dubny Castle, and it was the most unexpected request received through this chatbot. I would like to say that the veteran space is an effective tool, but the most important thing is to not forget about standards. Our team of the Coalition of Veteran Spaces, with the support of our partners, produced the manual like that. And if you want to open a veteran space in your community, you can find all the necessary information in this manual, starting from the funding up to the accommodation, the basic services, and the specialists that have to be employed there. And about the cooperation, the point where the government and non-government sectors meet, we updated the respective decree of the ministry, which mentions the communities eager to open these spaces in their localities. So we provide for the complex training for the workers of these spaces. So if you want to be part of a powerful non-government sector, grow institutionally, have an impact on the development of veteran policies, please join the Coalition of Veteran Spaces. If you meet our standards, we will be happy to welcome you. Thank you.
Дуже дякую, пані Оксана.
Thank you indeed, Oksana. And just a question to you. 26 spaces within the coalition. Suppose a community creates a space, a veteran space. How it is possible for such a community to become a member of your coalition? One addition to the existing 26. Yeah, why? We will take them on board. We will provide training to them. When the space is inaugurated, when it started its operation, in line with the range of services they should be providing, we will invite them to a coalition to present themselves. And if they comply with all the requirements, if the team is within the standards, we will gladly adopt them in the coalition. One of the strategic goals for us for the upcoming 5 years is to provide support and training to such teams to increase the numbers of such veteran spaces several times-fold. Do you have any idea of the final number? 300. Okay, 26 now, 300 to go. Okay. Next speaker. So while waiting for this opportunity, we had a lively discussion before this panel as to how quality counseling could be provided in communities. We discussed whether each community has to have a psychologist, a counselor, how to ensure ownership. And Tatiana was noticeably competent about that. Her organization has been working in this field for 13 years. So, in continuation of our pre-panel discussion, please go on with your presentation. Good evening, everyone. I'm proud to be here, to be able to present my organization. And yeah, we've been working for good 11 years in this area. We have about 40 psychologists, psychotherapists, working as counselors who have delivered more than 7,000 consultations so far. And I mean, 13 point something thousand of them, 3,000 in the past 2 years, which reflects the high demand for such type of counseling and the importance of psychological and mental health considerations. We are looking into opportunities to expand this range of services, to make them available to our target audiences. We have focused counseling activities. We think that it may make a nice enough response, and it may also showcase how, even with limited staff and resources, you can still be able to deliver. At some point, we started thinking of how to make our counseling services even more accessible. And we came up with a probably rather banal, maybe not so banal solution, a mobile app. Now we have this app. It has been downloaded more than 34,000 times. Quite a convenient application. And we thank IREX Ukraine for their support with this application. They did help to design it, and this is probably one of the examples of IT solutions in the field of mental health and counseling, particularly in terms of accessibility of such services at local community level across the country. It's really important for us to show this opportunity to everyone, so that people in need of it could understand better what is happening to them and how this can be dealt with. We provide information about mental health, what are potential red flags, what are the good signs, but there's a lot of literature on that. You will find much less in terms of practical advice how to deal with matters identified. And in my view, it's very important to ensure ever better accessibility of services. And really, I cannot but mention some issues we are facing now. We are facing a shortage of professionals. We are lacking some proper legal regulations to prop such type of activities. And definitely the level of cooperation between the government and public institutions and the third sector enthusiasts should be better in terms of better rules of engagement, better accessibility, through a variety of solutions on the table, including IT solutions. So when we think about things to be done in the future, yes, we will continue working with our mobile app. We will continue thinking how to expand the accessibility and the geography of our services, and we will be looking into ways of fostering cooperation with government authorities because of the accumulated knowledge we have already got. Without wider support, without government involvement, we will burn out naturally. So we need to be able to continue bringing this light into the hearts of people. Actually, the topic of my discussion with Tatiana was about how it may be possible to provide quality counseling services at each community level, about the need of proper qualifications for such staff, about supervisory aspects of it, finances to be available. Well, the short answer for the short time perspective is it's not possible yet, but it should be. And indeed, it is necessary to offer counseling at local communities, at small communities. Yeah, actually having these services available offline will make for a longer story. And given the high demand for services already now, we have to employ every opportunity, also internet-based one. And we also will have to work on methodology. We need to aggregate our joint experience into a comprehensive methodology on services, proper quality standards, ways of coaching specific target groups. Now we feel the earth of rehabilitation-related terminology, if you will. Things we used to have, these are not proper terms and definitions. We're simply bound to using them because of the lack of other options. We need to work on it. So thinking in collaboration with peers from other organizations, in collaboration with the government, we'll be able to do more. Thank you, Tatiana. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for this applause. Moderators generally have the rule, if we do applause, then do it to everyone or do nothing. And we still have 4 speakers to go, so just get your hands ready. Now, regarding your app, is it freely accessible? You can download it? Absolutely, anytime. We have a stand there with a QR code to use and grab this app. Yeah, right on the right side, you will find this banner with required information. And just briefly, how do you select people as prospective counselors? How do you select them? Well, to start with, there are some requirements, written requirements. You will have to answer certain questions. Then the case goes on to our managers, case managers, like when we're looking for a group of people to work with families of the deceased. It will depend when this happened and so on. So it provides us with a detailed information about people that will be needed. So actually, yeah, we have written requirements, and based on that, you can further work with my team. Is it available in the app? No. No, the app is just a tool with information how to use it, just that. Okay, thank you for clarifying this thing. Dear speakers that we are still willing to hear from, please stick to the timing. It may be a challenge to break the ice at the beginning of the panel. It's even more challenging to be the last speakers to go. Please welcome another yet speaker. The project is based on a huge survey the organization carried out. Surely it is indicative of how serious they've been about this research. And more than half of the respondents, by the way, said that information is what they needed the most. So meet Lubov Halan, co-founder of the Princip Human Rights Protection Center. Good evening. Sorry for my appearance here on stage. I still hope that you will enjoy my presentation. My center, Princip, is really very active with analytics. We collect information from servicemen's families, veterans themselves. We do understand that the accumulated experience of more than 1 million of people. This is much more than one's individual scenario or, scheme. It starts with ways in which public services and social services are delivered to veterans. That was one of our surveys, and it did show realities of life with public services effectively available to those with disabilities, to wounded veterans, those who are decommissioned from the service, active service. You can have more detail about our survey at our stand. There are still some copies left. One of the problems we found, also through feedbacks from some of the interviewees, was about how to inform veterans of their families where to go if questions arise. To say that whenever a veteran goes back to his or her community, questions on where to go to find answers become prominent quite soon and remain relevant even more so. And our surveys show that lack of information or not lack of surety how to get the information may be a serious problem. From here, we decided to create a kind of navigator, service navigators for communities, and no easy task. For those residing in Ukraine, it is clear how different communities can be. From here, potential complexity of having one app to suit all their communities, which prompted another survey. We questioned more than 300 communities, and big thanks to those guys in local self-government to provide us with answers. It helped us better understand how to structure this service navigators, how to make it relevant. We started with an exercise to classify communities. We came up with 6 types of these, quite a fun on screen. I hope you will be able to see it when they show it. So then we decided to clusterize our communities, because we have different types of communities based on whether they're rural or urban, big, small, and so on. Then we optimized their numbers, and we also looked into ways in which veterans interact with different public authorities when asking for certain services. We looked into business processes involved. Then we had to understand what kind of design this app should have. It's nonetheless important to design it properly, to make it attractive, understandable, visual for your target audience. So we had to look into options, and we thank those veterans who joined our survey to help us with the design. Our organization prints out a lot of materials, and we had to do also a printout of our draft navigator. You see many target group participants are really not active social media users, or they may not be quite savvy about that. Many times we see that printed information is a much more convenient way of communicating information for those people. So we came up with a big poster to inform our veteran about where to go in search of services, how to get payments, how to have retirement benefits, how to look for jobs, where to go for healthcare, how to deal with law enforcement matters, and so on. So we have a more detailed brochure and a rather concise poster with a QR code for this brochure. This project was piloted in the 3 regions of Ukraine. We do expect Cherkasy Oblast to be the last one in the pilot with its feedbacks. And this will be the first step to help also service providers willing to notify potential customers. Last week I used the Navigator myself. A brother of mine, he has high amputation up to the knee, up to the thigh, and he appeared to have problems with his retirement benefits. I myself couldn't scratch my head over where to go. Then I remembered the Navigator, so we had to use it. And my call to community members, if you are willing to have something for you, please talk to our staff members to get this information for your community.